today we are talking about how to repot your plant. And first step is, how do you know that it is time to repot the plant? That is very important. I have a couple of plants here with me, and we'll try to figure out whether we should repot them or not. So one of the great ways is to look at the bottom. If the roots are coming out from the bottom, then definitely it's time to repot, right? The second thing would be to look at the top. Are the roots coming out from the top? So here in this you can see, I don't know if you can, there's this root. Okay, this is out. Okay, I broke this one also. But there were small strands of roots like these, which were peeking out of the soil on the top. So clearly this becomes a perfect candidate to repot the plant, right? Now, second point is, how do you decide the size of the pot in which you're going to repot? So does anyone remember what would be this size, and what do we mean by the size of the pot? Is it the diameter, is it the radius, or is it the height? What is it? Okay, Harpreet says 2-inch diameter plus. Yes, it's about, I would say this would be a 3-inch or 3.5-inch, I think. And one of the important things here would be to make sure that we are able to get the plant out. So after we decide that it's time to repot, after we decide the size of the pot we want to put it in, the next step is to make sure that we are able to take this out in the safest manner without disturbing the roots. And that is very important thing to do. So take your khurpi. I don't have khurpi, so I'm using a knife. It's a butter knife. Now, ideally, what you want to do is, you just want to, if you can do this if it is a plastic pot. If it is any other pot, like a ceramic pot, don't do this. It will break the pot. And it's loosened, but it's not free. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take my khurpi and put it in between the soil and the pot. By the way, you know the name of this one? We have discussed it a couple of times. Okay, I think it is done. Okay, so one of the reasons why this is not coming out is because the roots have really gone deep inside. The big roots. So probably it should have been repotted like a couple of months back. But no problem, we'll do it now. And what are the benefits of repotting? I think that was one of the questions we had got some days back, and I had said I'll discuss when we are doing repotting. So why we do repotting is a couple of reasons. Firstly, when the roots become too much in the pot, surprisingly, the plant is not able to absorb water because the water really runs out very fast. And why is that? Because when roots grow big, the soil becomes lesser, right? And then there becomes pathways through the roots and in between that the water can just rush out. How typically a plant wants to absorb water is, the soil becomes wet, the roots are in soil, and the roots soak in the water from the soil. But in this case, what happens is, the roots are have air pockets, water is able to run through, so water is not getting absorbed. Secondly, roots are in air, they don't like it that much. The third thing is, unless the roots are able to grow bigger, the plant will not grow on top. So this plant will not grow bigger on top unless I put it into a bigger pot. So if you see my plant haul video, I have a video called My Plant Haul on YouTube itself. You will see this same variety of plant. And I've shown two different pots. One is a small pot of 3-inch, 4-inch, and then there's a massive pot of 8-inch. And you'll see there's a huge difference in the size of the plant. I mean, if the smaller plant is like this big, the other plant is like genuinely this big. And that is because a bigger pot, if it is repotted on time, the roots are able to grow bigger, and that's why the top plant is also able to grow bigger. So that's why we should repot. Another thing is, when you have to take it out, don't water it beforehand. I watered it yesterday. I think in the watering class, when I was showing how to water, I showed this plant, I watered it, and that's why it's creating more issues. So that's another tip. If you have to repot, it's best to keep the soil dry, because then it might be easier to take the plant out. Okay, so this is clean in, and this is your plant which has come out. Okay, now as you can see, there are a lot of roots here. Any place that you look at, you'll see roots. Here there are roots, here, every place there are roots. Now this is a stage where you have to be very delicate with the plant. You don't want to break any roots, and that's the one reason why it's important. When I was flipping it over, I would keep my fingers here, or I would keep my hand here, and have ample space below you. What you don't want is that the plant comes out of the pot and goes smack down onto the ground. Then all this will break, and now there's no point repotting it, because it's already hurt and it's going to be in re-environment. I mean, that is a very big disaster. So in general, always hold your plant firmly, right? You won't harm it, you won't destroy it. Hold it firmly, flip it over, try to take it out that ways. Okay, now whatever soil has gone down, I have let it be. But in case the soil doesn't fall off, then we can just take out some of the soil, essentially, so that some roots are outside the soil. This is important, because if and this is important even when you are repotting the plants that you're getting from nursery. Some portion of the roots should be outside the soil, and that's how they find their way into the new soil faster. Otherwise, they might just happen to be happy in the same soil. Only reason is because the soil that you are going to repot with and the soil that was there already will be different. And that's the thing. So I have a pot here, but I wanted to show you one more thing. So I will take help of another pot. Do you see there's a drainage hole at bottom? Any pot that you repot in should have a drainage hole at the bottom. Now, if you have a nursery pot like this one, or like this one, these have drainage holes all along the pot, all along here, and these are extremely good because they provide complete drainage. In this case, what you should do is you should take some stones and just put one small layer of stones. In this size, even if you don't put layer of stones, it's going to be fine, because if you put a layer of stones, then the amount of soil will decrease much. But say once you come to nursery pots of this size, you can put a small layer of stones like pebbles, or you see in this construction we use something which we call as rodi. So you can just put a bit of that. Now what it does is it lets the water seep through, but it doesn't let the soil go through. That's the main idea. So whenever we have a drainage hole, we cover it with something. The idea is that while the water should be able to go through, the soil should not go out. And there are two reasons for that. One is obviously, if the soil goes out, it will spoil wherever it is kept. But the other thing is, once the soil starts going out, it blocks the drainage hole itself. Right? It's just similar to the, say, a sink drain or any drain in our home. We don't put a lot of things in that because we know eventually it will clog the thing. So I just wanted to show you how we have covered the drainage hole in this one. Okay. So this is what I do. I take a diya. This is a normal diya. So in Diwali, normally what happens is we use diyas and then they're left. So I take a diya. Now don't put the whole diya on top because then even the water is not able to go out. So I break the diya from the side a bit. And then I can put it over the drainage hole. So there becomes like a gateway. Like, okay, from three sides the water can't go out, but from one side the water can go out. So this prevents the soil from all sides to go into that hole. But if you don't have this, you can take any pieces of a broken pot or anything like that, or a broken cup and things like that, and you can put it. A lot of people ask, does the material of this matter? It doesn't matter what the material is. We have to only ensure two things. Water should be able to go through, but at the same time, the soil should not be able to go through. And the same thing happens if you put 3 or 4 of them on top of each other, which are curved. Curvature of this is important. These should be curved. That's why I'm saying cups or pots and things like that. And not very small pieces, but decently big pieces. If you put 3 or 4 of them, they will make sure that the water can go out. And this is from my Chinese orange plant. I don't know how it got trapped here, and it is dry now. Okay. The second part comes preparing this soil pot, right? Okay. So now, firstly, what we are aiming for, we are aiming that it should come to this height. Once it is filled, it should come to this height, the soil. That is 1 inch below the top. That is where we want the finished soil to come to. So I'm going to till the soil. And one of the important things is use dry soil. Never work with a wet soil. That is very important. I have learned it the hard way. What you should not do is, have you seen pottery being made or ceramic being made? Now what happens is they work with wet mud, right? And what do they get? They get surfaces which resist water, which are slippery, which are smooth. We don't want that in gardening, right? What we want is, we want a porous material. We want the soil to remain soil. That's why whenever you're working with soil, when you're moving it around, don't work with a wet soil. This consistency is fine. This consistency is fine, but nothing wetter than this. What you should not have is not have a slurry of things. And I'll show you even in the next couple of steps why it matters a lot. I have done it and I have wondered, like, why is this happening? And then it's over time and I'm like, oh, once I start working with wet soil, there is a huge problem that I have. So this one that I'm working with is a bit too dry. So, but this consistency is fine. You see? Okay. This one is fine. What I have here is, It's a bit too dry, but that's okay because I don't want to wet it a bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I split it. I have just emptied it out. Okay. Okay. Remove anything like this in your soil because right now you can, and anyways it will develop again. I mean, not this. This is some clock piece, but any these are not stones. These are just clumps of mud. So normally what I do is I remove them and then separately I can beat them and make soil again. I filled it till here. We are targeting to fill total till here. I filled it till here. Now get your plant. Try to get an idea where to put it. Now, very important thing. If you leave the root outside the soil, it's okay. You can leave the root outside the soil. But what is supposed to be outside the soil, don't put it inside the soil. I think there was a disconnection, so I'll speak it again. You can leave some of the root outside the soil. That will be okay. But don't put anything that is supposed to be outside the soil to be inside the soil. And this is not rubber plant. I think Diksha had said, yes, Harpreet says Congo philodendron Congo. Devanshu says red Congo philodendron. Subita says, okay, perfect. So we are making progress in this class. This is red Congo philodendron or philodendron Congo. There is one big difference. I mean, this is not part of the class, but now that we have this confusion, let me just tell you. This is rubber plant and this is philodendron. And I can understand why people get confused. But one simple way to see the difference is here all the leaves are coming from one node. Here there is a stem and the leaves are coming from the stem. Okay. Okay, perfect. So go back to repotting. Now, as I said, we can't put anything that is supposed to be outside the soil inside the soil. Now I know my height that I'm aiming for. So I just place it and just try to see without putting anything else. Will I be able to place it here? Now, one of the other important things is I have to put some soil on top. And right now, with the soil that I've put in, I won't be able to put any soil on the top. So I take out some of the soil. And always repot it like this. What I mean by this is put soil, don't create a hole and repot, especially for plants of this size and things. It will not grow well. I'll just show you why. Okay. Had I put a hole and put it, all the roots would have got concentrated at one place. And the reason we are repotting it is so that it can grow bigger. I want their roots to spread more. And that's why it's always a great idea to repot them like this, where we have kind of emptied the pot and now we are putting in the soil. And now we put soil from all directions. First, just put enough soil. You will get a feel of it so that this plant is not falling anywhere. So typically you will have to put soil on both sides, try to balance it like this. Now it is not complete. The soil still needs to go in, but at least the plant is now standing on its own. Now this is a great thing to do because now you can focus on putting the soil correctly. And every time you're putting the soil, just press it very lightly inside. We don't want any air pockets. Remember, the reason we are repotting is because in the old pot, there were air pockets because of excessive roots. But whenever you repot, there will be some air introduced, which we'll deal in the next step. But at least in this step, we should make sure that we are not introducing any air pockets. That is one of the reasons why I said to remove these, because if you have more of these, they will create air gaps. Have you ever had that you have watered the plant and suddenly the soil sinks down? Have you ever had that? So the reason that soil sinks once you water is exactly because of this, that there were air pockets which finally over time they got filled, and now there's a gap. Now it didn't do a great job, that's why the plant is not in center, but it's okay. Press firmly. I think I'm shaking the laptop also as I'm doing it. Can you see? Now it is done. Now what do we do? Very important thing. We have to water it almost 3 times in next 30 minutes. And the goal is that the water should start coming out from the bottom. But remember one thing. It is possible that when you water, the soil goes down, right? But don't fix it at that time. Because again, if you fix it at that time, you'll end up making a pottery here. We don't want that. Then you'll have bigger problems. Every time you water, the water is not going to reach the roots, it's going to just flow out. So if the soil is wet, don't play with it. I mean, play with it, but don't play it inside the pots. Play it as a play activity. But if the soil is wet, don't play with it. You will end up having a very slippery soil and the water will not seep through. I need water. Just 1 second. Okay, give me one. Hey. So this is not Bisleri water. I'm just reusing this bottle for many days just to water the plants. Water from all sides, don't water from height, and let the water seep through. So we're going to let the water seep through. It may take some time initially for the water to seep down, and that's okay. We just wait. And we have to water it till the water starts coming down, coming out from the bottom. And that basically, in my experience, water it 3 times in first 30 minutes. Like one after the like after first 10 minutes and then another 10 minutes or so. Now you see, because we had patted down, the soil has not gone down. Why we are also watering till this water comes out? Now, why is that? It's for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it also helps us just check whether the drainage is fine or not. Because right now you have that time to pay attention that, oh, I have given it so much water, but the water is still not coming out. There is some issue. So right now it is easy to fix. It's a great time to do it. Secondly, because we have taken out it from a smaller pot, right? In smaller pot, very likely every part of the root was getting water. Now, in this case, if we water and the bottom roots are not getting water, they will die. The smaller roots, the tertiary roots. So we are losing out on the growth that the plant already had. And anyways, when you transfer, you lose some roots. Some might get broken off. Sometimes what happens, there is a heavy chunk of mud attached to a part of the root, and that mud falls and the root gets pulled out. So we have already lost some roots. At least the roots we got here, they should survive. That's why we need to make sure that every part of the root is getting water. And the only way to do that is to ensure that the water is coming out from the bottom. See, it is still not coming out from the bottom. And I'm going to give more water. So that's the main idea. And that's essentially the basics of repotting. Now, normally after this, I would put a green sticks in it, and but that would be like one day after, or even right now we can do it. But the soil needs to be moist. I don't want to play with the soil. And the second thing is, I don't know whether I'll have to repot it in general, because if there's some issue with drainage and things like that. So once I see that the drainage is fine, everything is fine, I can put in my green sticks, and this plant is good to go. It's going to do amazingly well. Okay. Okay, I'm getting some really nice messages. As we grow, we also need to wear larger clothes. Anil says, exactly. So the plant also needs larger place to stay as it grows. You see, it's still not draining out. I'm a bit concerned, but I'm not concerned that much because it's a nursery pot. Drainage is fine, and this is substantially bigger. Can you see this one in front of this one? So this pot is substantially bigger. This plant will do well. Actually, even when we go just one size up, there's a huge difference because overall volume of the soil changes a lot. Diksha is asking, how do we know the plant does not fit in planter? We'll do this. How often to water a plant which is recently repotted? After you, that's by Pallavi, and after you repot it, and now that you'll water it enough so that it starts draining, now it's your normal routine, water when the soil is dry. Always water when the soil is dry. This one will take longer time to get dry simply because the root system is not as per this pot right now, right? The root system, if it was soaking, say let's say this soil was getting dry in every 5 days. Here, once we have completely wet the soil, it is initially for few weeks or couple of months, it's going to take almost 7-10 days for this to get dry because the amount of water is a lot more here and the root system is not that big. Nitin says, last time I did repotting, I did not press the soil. The plant was the plant was sada fully. After a few days, I pressed the soil and the plant died. That's possible. So one of the reasons that I feel is there is press it right away as you're putting the soil. So that's another reason why I don't like to create a hole and put in that. because then you are pressing from the top always. So let me try to give an example. Okay, it's time for this Maranta to come out. This is a beautiful plant, Maranta, and sadly I've been doing a lot of videos and experiments on it, and it's suffering. Now what happens? Let's say I created a hole, big hole, and I press the plant. I'm pressing from here, and now all the roots will get squeezed once I press. And this is not what roots want. If this happens, if I create a hole, small hole, and put the plant in. But what I'm doing is, now I'm creating a layer of the soil. I'm putting this here. I have this here. I put some soil, this gets pressed, this portion. Then I put another layer of soil, then this portion gets pressed. Then I put soil, then this portion gets pressed. That way, the whole root system is not getting pressed and clumped into one ball. The root system is being spread and pressed into its own place. This is also great because if you falter with your nutrition, if you falter with your watering, at least some part of the root somewhere will get something for the plant. Imagine all the resources, the roots are in one place. Now the chances of them not getting water are higher. But if they're spread out, the chances that one of them will get water is much higher. So you have to water it more. So part of the reason is also that I used absolutely dry soil, if you saw initially. That's why the soil is also absorbing a lot of water. So that was the session for today. Let me recap, and just before I recap, like I always say, because we are new on YouTube, if you are joining us for the first time, please subscribe to this channel because we are doing live every day. And I'm also now putting some other videos other than the live, like you'll see my plant haul and things like that. And secondly, there are two buttons like and dislike, whichever you feel. But if you found value on this, let other people know that it's a valuable video to watch, because 35 minutes is a long time for somebody to watch a video. So when they're going to make a decision, they'll be like, it's too long, should I watch it? Oh, but 50 people say it's thumbs up, so maybe I should give it a try. So that's the idea. That's what I read on YouTube's blog. I hope that's right. And now let's just recap on what we learned about repotting today. So first and foremost, what's the most important thing is when to repot. Look at the roots. If they're coming out of the pot, either from the bottom or from the top, then it's time to repot it. And why should we repot? Because if we don't repot, the roots will not grow. And if the roots will not grow, the plant will not grow. So if we want the plant to become bigger, we should repot it. Then the second thing is, whenever repotting, choose a pot size which is bigger than the existing one, not too much bigger, a size bigger. That means if the diameter of the older one is 6 inch, then we should go for 8 inch. And make sure that the new pot has a good drainage. A good drainage is absolute essential. Nursery pots work well, but if you have any other pot, put a maze of ceramic curved things at the bottom on the hole, and that will ensure that water can pass through, but not the soil. Then let's come to the third part, where it is when we repot, in the new pot, we put soil in layers and we set a target of where we want the plant to end up being. Very important point. A part of the root can be outside the soil, but what is supposed to be outside the soil can never be inside the soil. So when you are repotting, just make sure that under no circumstances, anything that was above the soil earlier can go below the soil. No. Water it well, press it well, make sure that there are no air pockets. But in case, once you start watering and the soil sinks because there was some air pocket left, don't play with wet soil, because that will just make it slippery. So just wait for a couple of days, fix it. Then don't fix it immediately. And that was a wrap on today's session. I'll still be taking questions. And if you started on coriander yesterday, it's time to plant it because it is 24 hours. And congratulations, the water is coming out now. I don't know if you can see. Yes, the water is coming out. We did a great job. In fact, I have to put it out because it's draining a lot. Thank you, everyone. So anyone who wants to leave, they can. It's done. The session is over. Let me just see any questions that we have. Nitin says, okay, Nitin's question we have done. Sadabahar was not pressed. It died. Thank you, Dr. Shweta Singh. Surinder, should microgreens after the microgreens have germinated, put them in your kitchen, put them anywhere where they can get some tube light, some sun, or not some sun, some tube light. The only problem in putting in sun is they'll get dry so fast and they'll die if they get dry. The soil gets dry. So it's better. Okay, transplantation we'll do sometime. What the option of watering when you go out of station? We'll look at that. When can we put a water plant to soil? When can we put a water plant to soil? Rashi Gulati. It depends from plant to plant, but a plant which is in water for a long time, since a long time, that cannot be put in soil. Only the plants which have just started to root, they, if you want, you can move them to water soil now. But if a plant like this one, which has been in water since a long time, I can't move it to soil now. There's a difference in the top layer or top membrane of the root. In soil, they need a more protective layer. In water, I don't think they don't have that protective layer. So when we move from here to soil, it dies. From soil here, you can move because it forms a new one. It forms a new root system. So, but when you move from here, the problem happens is I have a big plant. It is supported by great root system. Now, essentially, it has to start from zero in water. In terms of the nodes and where the leaves are coming from is very different from where the leaves come from and how the node performance is in the soil. That actually brings me to another point which I've forgotten to ever mention. But one of a great ways to see if your indoor plant like money plant is getting good sun, good light or not, is to see the distance between these two nodes. Okay, so any plant which is getting great conditions to be in, this distance would be smaller. If the plant is struggling for light and things like that, this distance will become longer, because that basically means they're trying to search for better place. So they're trying to move and see if there's some light at some place else. Okay, how to change water in this kind of a bottle? Now, what I do personally is I take out the water. I don't take out the plant. I would just drip out the water like this. Then I will keep repeating that. So I'll put more water, I'll shake it, I'll drip it out. I'll put more water, I'll shake it, I'll drip it out. And then I'll do about one fill where I let the water go in and come out, and then I keep it. And because I don't change the water very often, because if your water is generally what you're putting in is clean, it doesn't get dirty or it doesn't get a lot of things. So like you'll see right now the water level is here, and the roots above are still wet because the neck is narrow. It is, whenever the water is trying to evaporate, it gets settled here, it keeps the roots wet. So that works. For that one, I don't know. I don't think you can see. For this bottle there, I have no idea how I change water because I don't. So I just water it. When the water evaporates fully, I just add some new water because that bottle is stuck to the wall. And I had such a brilliant idea. I'll stick a bottle to the wall and it look amazing. Till the point that I actually stuck it to the wall and it was looking amazing and I had no idea how will I change water. So Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for being here every day, 4 o'clock. Tomorrow we are going to do growing of ginger, and day after we'll do what I say we'll do. Not day after, a couple of days, maybe on Wednesday or on Friday. Sometime we'll do about how to prepare for summers. So how you can make sure that this summer your plants do well, because a lot of things change in summer, and we'll talk about that. But tomorrow we'll grow ginger. Anyone who's excited about growing ginger, do join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And today, additionally, one of the things I'm doing is just as an experiment, today at 6 o'clock, I'm going live on Facebook. Uh, because I tried going live yesterday, it was a great response, and I didn't have anything to speak. So I'm like, okay, let's do a planned one. So today at 6 o'clock, if you want to join, but it's going to be something similar to the Indo plant and Indo plant care. That's what it's going to be. Probably I'm going to show a couple of plants, because I think that's what the maximum feedback was from the audience on Facebook, that we want to actually see the plants, we don't know the names. So if that interests you, today at 6, but bring tea. It's called Evening Tea with Lazy Gardener. So bring tea, and we'll do that together. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to be able to talk to you. This is my sanity moment in the whole day, and I love this. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.